With the signing of the Constitution, our country and its people gained many of the rights we had fought for. One of those rights being the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. Many generations later, we came along and we were introduced to what is known as gun control laws. Gun control is the regulations placed against people for owning, buying, and using firearms. While many people agree with gun control laws, many disagree. In many of the scholarly articles I have read, such as should more gun control laws be enacted, and firearms, homicides, and gun control effectiveness, I've been very well informed on the topic of gun control and the arguments it presents. Today, I will first go over the history of gun control and the Second Amendment. Secondly, I will go over the argument supporting gun control. And finally, I will go over the argument against gun control. So what is the Second Amendment? That would be the right to bear arms. And with the right to bear arms, what was it used for? The right to bear arms was used for the people to defend themselves against the government if it ever turned tyrannical. And with that, there wasn't many regulations placed on it, so people could own any type of gun if they wanted, such as even a machine gun. Later, there would be regulations placed on Title II guns except for handguns. But that would lead into the assassination attempt of James Brady in 1981, to where he would implement the Brady Law. What was the Brady Law? The Brady Law was a 5-day waiting period that was required for all handguns and a mandatory background check to buy it. So it created a safer way to buy guns, which was the first real implementation of gun control. Now that I've gone over the history of the Second Amendment and gun control laws, I will now go over the arguments supporting gun control. Many believe gun control is a great thing because it decreases gun deaths. Through one of the articles I have read, it stated that 14% of gun homicides were decreased when gun control was implemented. And through another article I read, it stated that suicide attempts with guns had also gone down as well. So through gun control laws, it has shown that homicides and suicides went down once gun control was implemented. And with gun control, that creates less difficult situations for police officers and criminals. When police officers are put in a situation where they have someone with a gun, they are more likely to use their firearm as well, which will cause deadly conflict. With more gun control laws available, police officers will be less likely to see a person with a gun, which will result in less gun violence activities. And that goes with criminals as well. If they have less access to gun, they are less likely to commit robberies and home invasions with a said gun, which will result in less gun injuries. Now that I've gone over the history of gun control, and second, the arguments supporting gun control laws, I will now go over the argument going against gun control laws. The first argument against gun control laws would be that it goes against the Second Amendment. We fought for the Second Amendment many years ago, and gun control laws, according to many, are taking away what that is. If the government ever turned tyrannical and the people don't have any guns for themselves, they won't be able to defend themselves, and that could turn into a tyrannical government and a dictatorship. With that, people also use guns to protect their homes. If there's a home invasion and they get attacked, they need a weapon to protect themselves and their families. So with gun control laws, that takes that away from them, and they won't be able to protect themselves and their families. With that, another argument for gun control is that many people believe that it's ineffective. Any criminal that we're trying to stop from getting a gun, they illegally get it. Any high-level criminal activity is done illegally. So they will illegally get their weapons, and the only thing gun control is stopping civilians and innocent people from getting their weapons. There are places like the black market and other criminal organizations that spread out weapons. So we are stopping the distribution of guns to innocent people when the criminals are getting it, which causes the violence. With that, I would like to state that there are many ways to go about gun violence and gun control. You can either be for it or against it. That's why today I stated the history of gun control and the Second Amendment, second, the argument supporting gun control, and finally, the argument against gun control. You can be for either side, but just know that it affects your everyday life. If you are against it or for it, it was placed in our Constitution and it was used for your freedom. So take that information today and know that it affects you, and whatever decision you make, it will affect you for the rest of your life. Thank you.